All right, hey guys, how's it going? Uh, just finished doing having a training session. It's getting pretty late. It's like 11 p.m. I'm gonna sleep soon, but I just wanted to make a more of like a serious video. This time around, typically I post kind of stupid shit, and I figured that I should probably make a serious video. Um, so I wanted to discuss something based on you know my progression over the last year, and I think it's a pretty well, when I talk about progression, talk about like weightlifting, powerlifting progression. So I wanted to discuss that because I think it's worth mentioning, and I hope it could help you guys too. So uh, just to backtrack, before the pandemic started, kind of like late 2019, early 2020, I was only able to deadlift maybe, you know, around 250 pounds for like a 1 rep max, which is, uh, nothing, super impressive. Well, not to say that what I'm deadlifting now is super impressive also, but I still think it's a notable progression for myself, and I just wanted to discuss that. So I was only able to deadlift like 250 pounds back then, and what I, you know, what I think happened this year is that I was able to progress on that exercise the most out of all, my other lifts that I do. And I just wanted to discuss the approach I took to increase that particular lift. Personally, I love the deadlift. It's my favorite exercise. It always makes me feel good. I never get injured. I never, well, knock on wood. There's actually wood in front of me. Uh, knock on wood that I don't get injured or anything, but it is my favorite exercise. And I think, you guys should favor that exercise too if, you want to get strong and you want to, just get better overall with your fitness. So yeah, let me just stop rambling here and get to the cut to the chase. So yeah, what I think happened was in that time frame. So after 2019, like I said, I was only able to deadlift around 250. And then what happened was obviously the pandemic hit in early 2020. And so for, I would say, almost a year, I had very little access to a gym and any weights at all. So in Quebec, everything was locked down. We weren't really able to do anything. So all I was doing during that 1 year is, like body weight type training, a lot of conditioning, and, using, I was putting like books in a bag, and I was using the bag as my weights kind of thing. So obviously in that 1 year time frame, my deadlift didn't really improve that much. So what happened was at the beginning of this year, 2021, around the month of February, it's kind of where I got fed up of kind of like waiting that the gyms would reopen. And, so I kind of took shit into my own hands in a sense where I decided to, ask my brother and one of our close friends to build a home gym and kind of, invest in it together, because it was hard for me to afford it completely by myself, especially with like, how expensive gym equipment was during, the heat of the pandemic and stuff. Like everything was marked up. So it was really expensive, but I thought it would be such a good investment, and I knew that I would benefit from it. And I knew if I had a gym in my house that I would progress as much as possible. So we got it done. We built our home gym, and I actually want to make a video about, what you should buy for a home gym. And so that's when my progression really exploded. So if I were to name one of the reasons why, so in this 1 year, like currently I'm close to a 450-pound deadlift right now. I presume I'm gonna test it out shortly. But last time I checked, I pulled like 415 for like 5 singles, and they were like easy singles kind of thing. So if I were to estimate, probably around 450 right now. And yeah, I'm ready to test it out soon. I'm building a deadlift platform, so yeah, I'll be able to test it out then. But so what I think really propelled my progression this year was get yourself a home gym. If you get yourself a home gym, then you're never gonna have to rely on getting yourself to the gym and skipping a workout. When I had to go and bring my ass to the gym all the time, like half the time it wouldn't happen because there's always something. Oh, I don't have access to the car today, or I have other shit to do and I can't go to the gym, like it's closed or something. So getting yourself a home gym is going to prevent all that bullshit. And plus, you're going to have your own equipment, right? You're going to get to, know your gym well. You're going to know the equipment. It sounds weird, but it's so true. Like you go to a new gym every time, and the barbells kind of feel different, and something doesn't feel right. Like, the bar could be slipping on your hands. They don't allow chalk or some shit, like some stuff that kind of doesn't really make sense. Or, there are no barbells available, or, there's always something when you go to a public gym. Some dude is, curling in the squat rack or something. I'm screwing around, but you know what I mean? Like there's always something when you go to public gyms. So I think that getting a home gym was really that had the biggest impact on my progression. So if I think about how much I improved in that 1 year, I would say around 200 pounds on my deadlift currently, and I'm still not at the end of the year. So my goal is to hit a 500-pound deadlift by the end of the year. So if I get that, that's basically doubling my total on the deadlift in a single year, which is not totally uncommon, but also like, I find that it's pretty good for considering I wasn't even able to deadlift like 2 plates, a couple years ago. So now that I think is the biggest reason, but also I think another reason why my deadlift I think improved so much in the last year was, it's going to sound silly because it kind of is, if you want to get good at the deadlift, then do the movement as much as you can. So specialize in the deadlift. My goal this year was like, man, I just feel like getting a big deadlift. I'm going to do as much as I can to be efficient at the movement. So the way I approached it was, high frequency with the movement itself. So deadlifting a couple times per week, doesn't have to be every day. Don't have to do like Bulgarian style or anything. You could use like a conjugate style where you do 3 intensity days per week, and every single intensity day you'll deadlift. You could use every single week a different deadlift variation. So let's say you're specializing for 2 months, you could deadlift 3-4 times per week with different rep ranges and sets. And then every single week you could change the exercise, the deadlift variation. So week 1 you could be doing conventional deadlifts off a deficit, and then the second week you could be doing sumo deadlifts, and then the third week you could be doing Jefferson deadlifts, and then the fourth week you could be doing whatever you want. It could be behind the back deadlifts or whatever. It could be anything, just to get used to that movement pattern. And that kind of brings me into the last thing that I think really improved my deadlift, and it also kind of sounds silly, but I assure you it works. Using unconventional lifts. Like, it's just called unconventional because not a lot of people use them, but they are, they're time proven exercises that work. And just because not everyone uses them, and just because you don't see a lot of people doing them at the public gyms, doesn't mean that they're ineffective. So one of them will be Jefferson deadlifts, right? I started doing Jefferson deadlift just because I thought it was funny. I saw like people doing it on YouTube, like Eric Bugenhagen, or Alpha Destiny, like people like that. And I was like, oh, that looks like a funny lift. And I started doing it. I was like, wow, this is actually a good exercise. You get a lot of leg drive, and you get a lot of, it doesn't screw up your lower back too much. You're like right, in line with the barbell rather than being behind it. So yeah, you'll gather a lot of leg drive from that, and then you could, that's one unconventional exercise that I've tried. You could do other types that, behind the back deadlifts. I haven't done that one too much, but I've given it, I've given it a shot. You could do all kinds of things. So don't be afraid to like experiment. And if you think about it, right, if you get used to doing deadlifts in awkward positions, then when you get back to your regular stance, it might feel even more natural, right? So that's my last tip, I would say, is experiment with different variations of the deadlift, and don't be confined to like your conventional pull off the ground. You could use different approaches. You could pull from a deficit, you could pull from blocks, you could there's so many things you could do, and just don't limit yourself. So I think that's my last tip for you guys. So if I just recap kind of everything, get yourself a home gym. It's gonna really improve your performance. The second thing is specialize in the movement. Deadlift, high frequency every week. A lot of throw in a lot of volume too. Throw in some accessory movements to complement your deadlift. Obviously, you don't want to just stagnate and do one exercise. You're going to get injured probably, and it's not going to help yourself. You're not going to help yourself by doing that. So accessory movements are important, but deadlift at a high frequency, and that could go for any exercise, right? If you want to get good at your bench, then bench press a lot, or throw in some good accessory movements like overhead press or something. And then finally, like I said, unconventional lifts are really good to support let's say the competition lift that you want to specialize in. All right, so hope that's helpful, and see you guys soon. And like I said, I'm planning on making a video about my home gym setup. So I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.